Do you feel like you're getting no closure from a broken or a strained relationship? Do you feel like you can't move on because you're waiting for an apology? Today we are discussing how to heal when you get no apology, no acknowledgement that what took place was wrong, and you are hearing no regrets for the hurt that it caused you. Now, one reason why you get no closure is that even if you do discuss what happened, they can't take responsibility for their actions. They're in denial. You really can't have a real discussion about it because they don't want to hear it. So what you end up receiving are excuses, lies, anything that they can do to take the focus off of themselves. They might even be blaming you and making you the problem. They did you dirty, and they will flip the truth and make you the problem. Why do people do this? We're all on a different level on our spiritual journey, and it takes a very strong person to apologize. You need to have a certain level of spiritual maturity to even admit your mistakes. And apologizing is extremely uncomfortable, and most people just don't have the strength for it. Someone with low self-esteem or someone with unhealed past trauma is not capable of apologizing. Most people aren't willing to do the work that's required to heal their problems, so they aren't capable of acknowledging when they hurt someone. And they find it almost impossible to say, I'm sorry. I wrote this because I felt prompted to write on this subject. God led me to a video that was on this same topic, and I felt immediately convicted that I should make this my topic for the week. And, my goal is always to encourage people, not condemn them, because the truth is we all make mistakes. I have made my share of mistakes. I've made thousands of mistakes in my lifetime. So I don't feel that I have the right to stand in a place of condemnation for other people. It may seem that way. I think I'm very misunderstood in that way. People misunderstood my motives. They misunderstand my motives all the time. I can sense that. But sometimes God will use people to open our eyes and to make us think and to see things from a new perspective and to encourage us to make the right decisions. He uses people to help us grow. And, we really need to have a heart of humility to welcome what God is trying to teach us, trying to tell us. We can learn things from people if we are open to doing that. And, you really have to be willing to self-reflect. That's what it takes. And some people just can't do that. They're not willing to look at their selfishness, their poor judgment, their arrogance, their pride, their lack of kindness, their critical impatience, their lack of empathy, the lack of support that they gave you when you needed it most. They can't face their faults. It's just too scary to admit their shortcomings, because that would mean stepping into the very uncomfortable reality of having to work on themselves and sit in their mistakes and the guilt and the shame that, the guilt and the shame of what they did. It's just too uncomfortable. They can't put you ahead of their own comfort and their own needs. They don't have the capacity to do that. They wouldn't have hurt you in the first place if they did have that ability. And this is hard to hear, especially when the person who hurt you is someone who is supposed to love and support you. All you want is the human consideration and the love and the respect that it takes to admit that wrongdoing, because getting an apology means that they actually care about you, and you cannot understand why they seem to care so little. It hurts, it's confusing, it's heartbreaking to feel like you are not cherished or appreciated. But When you finally reach the point where you don't need an apology in order to heal, that is when you're finally set free. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying. This does not mean that you let them off the hook and just pretend it never happened. It means that you are no longer depending on their apology to bring you closure. You have decided to heal from that hurt without their apology. So how do we do that? Well, for me, the first step was decided for me. I had to draw close to God because I had no one else to confide in. When you go through a painful situation, any kind of hurt or betrayal or rejection, and you have to heal all by yourself because no one is offering support, empathy, understanding, no one is acknowledging the trauma that you've been through, that is when you are forced to completely rely on God for your daily emotional health. He's the only one who understands. He saw it all. He saw the way you were treated. And he's the only one who can save you from curling up in a ball on the floor and having a complete emotional breakdown. He's the only one who can save you from that. So draw close to God is step one. Step two is forgive. I made a video titled Turn Your Crap into Gold. And in that video, it's on my self-empowerment playlist. I shared the importance of forgiveness and the step that I took to reach a place of forgiveness after a painful situation. I also talked about forgiveness in my video titled Forgiveness, Trust, Anger, and Apologies, and that is on my Better Relationships playlist. If you are having a problem forgiving, you might want to check those videos out. I also recommended a certain book that can help you, that you would probably want to read. It's by Lisa Turkhurst. So check out those videos if you're dealing with any kind of unforgiveness. The thing about unforgiveness is if you don't forgive, God can't forgive you, and he can't move in your life. Unforgiveness hurts you more than the person that you're mad at. It's self-defeating. It hurts your relationship with God. It holds back his answer to your prayers, and it will block any healing or miracle that God wants to bring you. We have to remind ourselves of Jesus in times like that. You know, Jesus was betrayed, he was rejected, he was persecuted, he was physically abused, and yet he always responded in love. That takes so much strength. It's hard to do. Satan loves when you harbor anger, bitterness, and unforgiveness. He loves that because he can use that against you to keep you from the blessings that God has for you. And step three to healing with no apology is to take care of yourself. Use this time to pour into yourself. Dive into nutrition, exercise, hanging out at the gym, pampering yourself, getting a new hairstyle, a manicure, a pedicure, a massage. Seek out support groups, Christian counselors. Do things that you enjoy. Go on a fun trip. You know, focus on your gifts and your talents and developing those gifts. This is a time for pouring into yourself. Part of my healing was stepping out of my comfort zone and starting my YouTube channel. It helped me to break out of my hurt. It helped me to focus on something positive. It improved my confidence, my self-esteem, my self-worth. You know, doing all these positive things is a healthy reaction to trauma. It is not a victim mentality. As Stephanie Lynn pointed out, the video that inspired this video, Stephanie Lynn Coaching on YouTube, I believe it's called. I hope I'm saying that right. Crying, anger, sadness, frustration, it's all a part of healing. And what I'm sharing is not her exact words in that video. It was just something that inspired me to write this and put it into my own words and use my own comments and examples just so you know that. Crying, anger, sadness, frustration, this is all part of healing, which leads me to step 4. You have to be patient with yourself. Don't judge yourself for the way you're feeling. Don't shame yourself for taking too long to get over it. This is not going to help your healing. You know, if you are a highly sensitive person, as I am, you will not recover from trauma in a couple months. It could take years. If you have past history of traumatic experiences, it can take a very long time to recover when you get hit with even more trauma as life goes on. You know, when something hits you that deeply and the pain feels unbearable, you cannot expect yourself to move on in a couple weeks or even a couple months. You have to allow yourself whatever time you need to process that pain and work through it with God's help. You know, God certainly is not expecting you to hurry up and heal. He is not expecting you to, he's not holding you up to a timetable when it comes to healing, because God is very understanding. He's empathetic. He's compassionate. So lean into him. The last thing I want to say on this subject is, for those of you who are withholding their apologies, deep down, when you owe someone an apology. If you have any conscience at all, you just feel it. You feel that prompting, I should apologize. But, feeling it is one thing, doing it is another. I want to remind you of the price that you will pay for not offering a real apology to someone who deserves it. And that price is the shallow, superficial relationship that you will have with that person from that point on, because they no longer trust you. If the relationship is not the same, you really can't expect it to be the same, because you did not do the work required to open that person's heart to take a chance on trusting you again. So that's something you might want to ponder. Even I failed in this. I find it much easier to apologize now, but in my younger days, no, it wasn't easy. So, you just really need to ask yourself, as I said in another video about this, what's more important, your pride or restoring the relationship? That's really the question you need to ponder too. So thanks for listening on this topic. I hope you'll join me next week as I contribute to my new playlist, Skim a Bestseller. We're going to be looking at the title, The Case for Christ by Lee Strobel. And you're not going to want to miss hearing about this fascinating and very personal investigation of the evidence of Jesus. It really is quite interesting if you haven't read the book. So I'll see you then.